emotional, and that's one of the things I've learned in my life is to get comfortable with being emotional, because I think as kids it's slowly stripped from us. You're fine, you're fine, you're fine. It's like, I'm not fine, and it's okay to not be fine. Okay, we're rolling. Chris, you were my very first interview in my brand new JJ Stewart Motors Grand Jeep Cherokee. Have a look around.
That's pretty sweet.
Enjoy. Are your heated seats okay?
Well, it doesn't feel like it's too hot.
Okay, if it gets too hot, just let me know. I'm not quite sure how to work everything yet, because it's
it doesn't feel like it's on. So
it's way fancier than everything I have. Yeah, that's it there. And, but you hit that. Oh. It's not on. Perfect. Do you want it on?
No, God.
Okay, and I can turn air conditioning on too.
I'm good.
Just like this interview is going to be, it's like raging and storming outside, but don't worry, it's all going to clear up and be beautiful when it's done.
Sure.
Chris is like, oh God.
I'm nervous, sorry.
Don't be nervous. Thank you. I want to start by saying thank you to Chris for actually agreeing to do this interview, because I want you to get comfortable. If this is another one of these interviews, I want you to get comfortable, and I want you to open up your ears, and I want you to really listen. This is an education piece for me, and hopefully for all of you. And I had put out on my Facebook a while ago, and I was corrected, and I took the correction. Like, I'm looking for a recovered addict. Right. Those were my words that I said, because I wanted to share a story of hope and inspiration, because we have this massive drug crisis, this massive opioid crisis. You're hearing it in the media and the news, and this epidemic. And somebody corrected me, and they said, Michelle, can you reword that properly? And they were right. And Chris, it could have been.
I think it was yesterday.
And well, you did correct me yesterday too. And so Chris is here to tell his story, but also to give us a lot of hope that I think will paint a lot more positive picture than I think a lot of people think is happening, especially in our region. Here we go. So, we never use the term recovered.
No, because you never are recovered. Somebody shared with me, if you feel like you've got this and you're recovered, then you're not open-minded. You don't have the open-mindedness to learn more about your journey and be teachable. And
do you know what I love about that?
No.
That's true for life.
Oh, it is. This whole thing is not about drugs at all. This is about drugs are the solution to the problem. You're the problem. You need to learn how to live inside your own skin and be comfortable with yourself and deal with life on life's terms. That's why I got my tattoo.
You survived the abuse. You're going to survive the recovery. Life on life's terms.
So, that's the whole thing, is like, addiction isn't an issue. It's not the issue. Living with yourself and learning to deal with life without drugs is the problem. Drugs are the solution to your problem. You know what I'm saying?
So Chris is articulate, and I got off the phone with him yesterday, and I was like, you're going to help so many people, because do you feel like we have more drug use now than we once did? Or do you think there's more people and the drugs are stronger?
It's not the drugs are stronger, the drugs are just different, and they're deadly now. Like, people were smoking weed back when we were kids. Like, you know what I mean? Our parents were smoking weed and doing drugs and stuff, and now drugs are, how do you call it? They're like designer drugs. They're made now. They're not like natural drugs. Not that they're any better or any different. There's just different stuff now that kills you. And like, there's no messing around anymore. Like, I see people die all the time. Like, I've had so many friends die from this disease.
I watched a stat. It came up on a YouTube ad, and I actually I thought I was pretty well educated in this sphere, and it said 11 Canadians a day are dying from opioid use. And that blew my mind. I have another friend who's working to become a paramedic. They brought in somebody who had overdosed on fentanyl. It was 9:30 in the morning, and the nurse in the ER said, "Oh, this is our fourth one of the day." It was 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know how, like I said that to my friend, I don't know why people aren't scared to death, like,
Well, you know
to
what?
even try it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's not.
Here's what someone said to me, and I know this sounds crude or whatever, but they're like, if I was a dealer, that's a pretty bad business plan if all my clients are dying.
Well, that too, but they don't know what's in the stuff.
They don't care.
They don't care, and they don't know. Like, the stuff that's killing people is cut before it gets to whoever, at the street level. You know what I mean? Like, and it's horrible.
So, you have used drugs for,
My whole life.
your whole life. And I said to Chris, I said, I'm not going to talk about how you got to this point because we're not going in that direction.
Right.
I think what your messaging is how you are where you are now and where you're going.
Yeah.
So you were 13 years clean?
Yeah, I was clean for 13 years, and I got clean in 2004 in Brooklyn.
Why? Can I ask you what leads you to make that choice? Because it's ultimately you, right? All your loved ones, everybody
yeah.
can.
I was sick and tired of being sick and tired and not knowing what to do about it. I couldn't do it on my own. I tried for years to quit. And I just called the suicide hotline because I didn't know who to call. And they said, are you suicidal? And I was like, no, but I don't know who else to call. And they said, well, you can go here, here, here for different rehabs. And I said, I don't give a shit which one it is. Whatever one's available first. That's the one I'll go to. So.
And had you tried to be clean before?
Not to this extent. I've tried on my own, but I never reached out for help. And that's the whole premise of today, getting clean. In this day and age, there's lots of help out there if people want it. If you do some research and look for it.
That was what Chris said to me on the phone when we chatted, and I said, I need you to say this to me tomorrow. I need you to say this on camera. And I don't know if you even remember the wording you said. And you said to me, I don't mean to be rude.
No.
Do you remember what you said to me?
Like
you said basically like, you don't really know what the hell's going
on.
Oh,
yeah.
Michelle, you're not
yeah.
You're not a user.
It's different for people that are in recovery, whereas people who have education and book knowledge of recovery. I'm not going to be ignorant and say you don't know nothing, because you do, but unless you've lived it, you don't know, right? But there is help. There is recovery out there today, and there's lots of it in this area. It's insane. I was at a meeting the other day, and that guy was like, he said 5 years ago he was the only person at a meeting. He made a pot of coffee and nobody showed up. And now there's 10 meetings in this area. From Monday to Friday there's a meeting. Some days, some of them are through the day, some of them are most of them are at 7:30 at night. But there's lots of help if they want it.
How do you find it?
Go online, research.
What if you can't go online?
Talk to the people on the streets. I don't know. I'm not sure what else to say.
Here's, you touched on a point that I think is really important. The stigma that is attached to addiction still exists, where it's like, you're homeless, you're poor.
Yeah, that's not true. It's everybody's moms, dads, brothers, sisters. It's everybody. It's everywhere. Back in the day, it was that way, I guess, but it's not like that today. I started following you because of that opiate crisis video you did, and my friend just died 3 weeks before that. That's why I watched it. And he was a year clean, and just spoke at somebody else's medallion, we'll call it, in the 12-step fellowship group. And he said when he was speaking, if I go out and use one more time, I could die. And 3 weeks later, he did, and he died. And it was so close to that woman's story. It's just, that's why I started following you, because of that.
I want to go back to stopping it before it happens,
Yeah.
And I think it starts, I'm always about mentally healthy children creates mentally healthy adults, and you embrace how you feel when I'm sitting here with you. There's you've been stripped down to a vulnerability of
That's because
acceptance.
Of the program.
And acceptance,
Yeah.
though, right?
Yeah. And I'm okay with being emotional today. I can cry in a group of 50 people. And it doesn't bother me. Because I'm safe there. It's a safe place. You can share anything. You can talk about anything, and nobody's going to judge you. We've all been there at one time or another, and that's the whole point of it, is one addict helping another. There's no... I'm not going to say there's zero judgment, because there's always going to be, principles before personalities. That's one of the big staples in the fellowship, is to always remember the principles of why we're there, and not personalities of the people that are there.
Isn't that a life lesson right there?
You know, because you're not going to get along with everybody. You're not going to like everybody, but they're all there to get help because they're going to die if they don't, and that's the truth of the matter.
Chris and I had a great conversation on the phone. Well, I thought it was great. He might have been like, she's a whack job.
No.
I got off the phone and I thought, everything you've been through, you know, and you talk about addiction, whether it's, you know, and I haven't even asked him what he's used, because to me it's not relevant, because addiction is so many forms right now, whether it's your cell phone and your social media, whether it's food, sex,
drugs,
gambling, it doesn't matter. What you're doing is you're filling a void.
Yep.
And if we don't talk about that, that's,
everybody has a hole they're trying to fill, no matter what it is.
insert inappropriate joke there. I know, but how do we help people? Because I feel like my biggest message, and you could, you know, I know you probably have one, but my biggest message is compassion and understanding. Nobody chooses to live like this.
No.
Nobody goes out and says, you know what? I want to be an addict. I want to be a total jerk. I want to abuse people and take people.
From my family. No, nobody wants any of it. It's for me personally, I have a son. He's 21 now, and I have never sugarcoated nothing with him. Like when I went to rehab in 2004, he was 7 or 8 or something like that. He's 21 now. I'm horrible at math. But anyway, he knew where I was going. He knew why I was going there, and I didn't bullshit him. And then when I got out, I did a lot of service work, and when I got out of rehab, and I stayed clean for 13 years. And during those 13 years, when it was my weekend to have Damien, my son, he came to every event. He came to all the meetings. He did everything that I was doing, and he didn't have earmuffs on. He heard everything. He heard people's stories. And
how is he?
He's awesome. He had a rough patch, not doing drugs or using or nothing, just with his attitude in general. I think everybody, teenager years. But he's great now. You know, I'm going to be a grandfather soon.
Congratulations.
Makes me feel old, but it is what it is. But yeah, like, that's my opinion, is you have to be honest about everything with everybody. Like, I try to be as transparent as I can, like, with everything in my life, period.
I like that. And it's a lot easier. It's a lot harder to remember what you told people when you lie.
Exactly.
It's a lot more work.
Yeah.
You were 13 years clean, and then you had a relapse.
Yeah.
And then you are now where?
I just picked up a 90-day key tag last Monday. So 90 days clean. 90 days, 97 days, something like that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it.
I know, and this is what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
You don't feel like it's worthy of...
It's not that I don't feel it's worthy. I'm still beating myself up over the relapse, because I got out of rehab, stayed clean for X amount of years, and it just seems like I did all that for nothing, you know. And now it was very humbling to come back and get a white key tag and recommit to the program, and, you know, take all those looks again, you know, like, and it's not like people judge you. Like I said, they're very supportive and warming and everything, and it was hard for me because I never relapsed before. I've seen lots of people relapse and come back, and I was always there for them, but I just didn't think I was ever going to be that guy, you know what I mean? And I was, and I am. So
it's amazing when you think that something's never going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Been there.
Especially when you've lived it already, you know, and thought all the tools you learned, like that's what my problem was. I thought I had it beat, you know.
I love what you said at the very beginning of this interview, and I feel like whether you are in, like I said, I think there's such a powerful message in there. And I said this to you yesterday too. I'm like, life is a process. It's never a program. It's never like, oh, I got this now. Oh, I got parenting figured out. Oh, I've got weight loss and fitness figured out. Oh, you have to continually work at yourself, and you will fall off and you will get back up, and you will fall down and you will get back up.
It's all about change and growth.
Yeah.
And like, when you fail is when you learn the most, right?
Chris was hesitant when I was asking him to share his story with me. And he said, I don't think I'm worthy of this attention. I don't think I'm worthy of sharing anything or helping anyone. And I said, Chris, every single person in the world is worthy.
Yeah.
And when you understand that you're part of that web,
Yeah.
you're not outside of the web, you're all worthy. And so if we're all worthy, you're just as worthy, and everyone deserves happiness.
Yeah. It's just hard for me to accept it. I helped a friend yesterday. She was ready to go out and use again. Like she said I saved her life, and it's like that's how close it is around here. Like, 'cause she went and pawned her car off, like to the dump, you know what I mean, whatever, the wreckers, and she was gonna go get and use, and then I just picked her up, and she immediately started crying, and then I just stayed with her for the rest of the day, and then she went and picked up her child after school, and today she's good, you know.
One foot in front of the other.
Yeah. But
If I was to interpret advice, what I hear is relationships, taking the time to, like, what people want to know how to fix it, Chris.
Yeah,
they want to fix this. They don't want this crisis. They don't want this.
There's no fixing it. There's no quick fix of it, we'll say. Everybody needs to be more empathetic to other people's feelings. Like, you don't hear about, like, the statistic, like you said earlier, 9 people a day. Or 11.
11 people.
But you don't
in
hear
Canada.
about that unless it's, like, guys like Chris Cornell or, you know, stuff like that are famous people that end their lives. You don't hear about those statistics usually. And it's because people aren't empathetic and genuinely care about people. People say, how are you doing? And then they don't really want to know. They just say it because they're supposed to say it, type thing. If that makes any sense.
It does.
You know?
If someone's watching and they have someone in their life that's using, when do you sort of say, I've done everything I can do? So say I'm your person and I'm like, Chris, please stop. I need to, it's up to you.
Yeah. You can't ever give up on them, but you can't keep a name on them either. You know, like, all you can do is, like it says, take a horse to the water. You can't make it drink. Like, you can't give up on the people, but there's gotta be a tough love balance too, you know, like, and it's hard. Like, I don't know all the answers, that's for sure. But
it was your choice in both instances to choose to get clean again.
Yep. This time around, I moved here and for a family member. We hung out for a while, got into a big fight, and I just felt alone and helpless again. And I didn't have anywhere to go. And I knew that if I went back to the 12-step fellowship that I could get the help and go back to being the Chris that I was for 13 years. And not the guy that I was in 2004 when I got clean. Because that's immediately who I went back to after I went back out. And I feel horrible for my ex-wife because she didn't have any idea of the Pandora's box that we were opening together. You know, like, when I started using again, she didn't know me when I was using before. She only knew me when I was clean for those 13 years.
Are they two different people?
Oh yeah, 100%. Didn't care about nothing but my drugs. That was it. And then once you're in that obsession again, that's all you can think of, day in, day out. That's how I was anyway. I can't speak for anybody else. But I know me when I was in my addiction. That's all you'd think of is just using. I couldn't function without it. That's how I felt.
If you could go and talk to that Chris, sober Chris could talk to non-sober Chris,
I would just tell myself the same thing I tell everybody else, that they're worth it. They don't need to do it. It's not going to help anything. All they're going to do is cause more chaos in their life. You know, like, and I knew that going into once I relapsed, and within 2 weeks I was back to being who I hated, you know, but I didn't care. I just felt hopeless as it was and didn't care, you know, and that's where I think a lot of people get stuck in that vicious cycle of being worthless, feeling hopeless. There's no way to get out of this. Nobody cares. You know, it's just a downhill spiral. Yeah, it's just a vicious cycle, and
it's all here.
Yeah, like that's.
You got to surround yourself with positive people. I said to Chris, I'm like, you have to be kind to yourself before you can be kind to other people.
That's my biggest thing right now is I'm trying to learn how to love myself again, because I just feel like nobody ever has, and now I got to learn how to do it myself, because the only person that I'm with 95% of the time is Chris.
Aren't you with him 100% of the time?
Well, not when I'm talking to somebody else. You know what I mean?
I guess that's true.
I just mean, like, you're with yourself the majority of the time. You need to learn how to be comfortable with yourself, and I don't know. I'm not there, that's for sure. I'm not going to pretend I am, but I'm trying to learn how, so I can hopefully project that and learn how to love other people the way that they deserve it too, you know?
You are worth it, even if you're wearing a Toronto Maple Leaf shirt.
I was thinking about that too. Your poor kid with that Habs hat on.
Parking with MF, proudly sponsored by JJ Stewart Motors. Family owned and operated for over 100 years. Small town service, big city selection. Go visit them, Highway 7 on your way into Norwood, or check them out online, jjstewart.ca, to find your perfect vehicle.